Hey guys, tonight we're diving headfirst into a world without texts, emails, or even a slightly unreliable carrier pigeon to lose your message. We're traveling back about 500 years to the Andes Mountains of South America, and you've just landed a potential new job. The title, Chasqui Messenger. Think of it as being an elite high-altitude, cross-country courier for an empire that stretched for thousands of kilometers. It's just you, your legs, and what feels like a 2,000-kilometer job interview through some of the most breathtaking and punishing terrain on Earth. Let's be honest, most of us probably wouldn't make it past the first day. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, let me know in the comments what city you're listening from and what time it is for you. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The air is the first thing you notice. It's thin, crisp, and so clear it feels like you could reach out and touch the snow-capped peak that looms over your village. Your world is vertical. The houses of your small community cling to the mountainside, built from field stones mortared with mud and thatched with tough Aichu grass. Below, terraces of vibrant green and earthy brown cut into the slope like giant steps, a testament to generations of your people farming potatoes and quinoa in a place where flat land is a fantasy. Life here is rhythmic, dictated by the sun's journey across the sky. You wake with its first light, you work the fields under its gaze, and you return to the warmth of your family's single-room home as it dips behind the mountains, plunging the world into a cold, stardust darkness. Your empire, the tall wanton Suyu, the four parts together, is a marvel of organization, a vast and complex society stretching from the humid forests of modern-day Colombia down to the arid coasts of Chile. It has armies, storehouses filled with grain, intricate social structures, and a living god as its ruler, the Sapa Inca. But it has a secret, something that sets it apart from the other great empires of history. It has no writing. There are no scrolls, no clay tablets, no ink-stained scribes. Every command, every census, every piece of news that holds this sprawling civilization together has to be carried either by mouth or through a mysterious system of knotted cords. Today, the familiar rhythm of your village is broken. An official has arrived from the capital, Cusco. He doesn't ride a horse. Those don't exist here yet. He simply appears, walking with an unhurried confidence that sets him apart. His tunic is made of wool so fine it shimmers, dyed in patterns of red and black that speak of high status. Large golden spools stretch his earlobes, a mark of nobility. He is here on the Sapa Inca's business, and his purpose is simple: to find new talent. You, along with the other youths of your village, are brought before him. He doesn't ask you questions. He looks at your legs, checking their strength. He observes your chest, how you breathe in the oxygen-poor air. Then, he points to a rocky outcrop on a distant ridge. Run is the only instruction conveyed through a local elder. Before you go, you're handed a small woven bag containing a few dried green leaves. Coca leaves, not a drug in the way the modern world thinks of it, but a sacred plant, a gift from the gods. You know to tuck a few into your cheek, to chew them slowly. They produce a mild numbing sensation in your mouth and a subtle wave of energy, staving off the pangs of hunger and the dull ache of fatigue that comes with living at this altitude. It's the fuel of the Andes. The run is brutal. Your lungs burn, your legs feel heavy, but you push on, finding a steady, rhythmic trot that eats up the uneven ground. This isn't about a frantic sprint. It's about efficiency and endurance. As you run back into the village, gasping for air, you see the adults watching, their faces a mixture of pride and apprehension. Being chosen for state service is a great honor, a chance to see the empire and rise above your station. But it's also a kind of death. Many who are chosen never see their families again. They become cogs in the vast imperial machine, their lives no longer their own. Historians still debate this very point: was this recruitment a coveted opportunity, or a form of mandatory draft that families faced with quiet resignation? The truth you feel in your gut is likely a complex tapestry woven from both threads. The official's gaze settles on you. He gives a slight, almost imperceptible nod. You've been selected. For what? You're not yet sure. But as you look from your family's worried faces to the colossal, silent peaks of the Andes, you realize they are no longer just your home. They are about to become your highway. The goodbye is silent. There are no grand farewells, just the weight of your mother's hand on your shoulder and the sight of your family, becoming smaller and smaller as you follow the official down the path. You don't look back. It's considered bad form, a sign of weakness. You are now in service to the Sapa Inca, and your old life has been neatly severed. Your journey takes you onto a path wider and more meticulously constructed than any you have seen before. This is a segment of the Capac Ñan, the Great Inca Road, the arterial system of the empire. It's not just a dirt track. It's an engineering marvel. In some places, it's paved with heavy flagstones, perfectly fitted together. In others, it becomes a steep staircase carved directly into the rock of the mountain. Low stone walls line the edges, defining the route you suspect, keeping stray travelers from tumbling into the gorges below. After several days of walking, you arrive at a larger settlement, a regional administrative hub. It's a bustling place centered around a huge open plaza. The buildings are grander here, made of cut stone rather than rough fieldstone. Officials with their distinctive ear spools move with purpose, and storehouses, known as QLLQs, are arranged in neat rows on a dry, breezy hillside to preserve their contents. It's here, in a long, low building filled with the earthy smell of dried maize and wool, that you see it for the first time. Your guide leads you to an old man sitting cross-legged on an alpaca wool mat. His fingers, gnarled and stained with dye, are dancing through a cascade of colorful strings hanging from a central cord. It looks like a long, fibrous jellyfish or a forgotten mop head. This, you are told, is a quipu. You watch mesmerized. The old man, the quipu MAOC, or keeper of the knots, is the empire's accountant, its historian, and its hard doctor, all rolled into one. He doesn't look at the quipu so much as he feels it, his fingers brushing over the knots with a practiced familiarity. He murmurs numbers to a nearby official, who makes notes on his own, smaller quipu. You learn the basic secret, the mainstream knowledge that any official would know. The quipu is primarily a counting device. It's based on a decimal system, just like the 10 fingers on your hands. The knots at the very bottom of a string are the ones. The knots above them are the tens, then the hundreds, and so on. A specific type of knot, the figure 8, represents the number 1, while longer knots with multiple turns represent numbers from 2 to 9. The absence of a knot in a position, that's a 0. An elegant, simple solution for tracking everything from harvested potatoes to the number of able-bodied men in a village. The official you've been following now produces another quipu from a bag. It looks almost identical to the one the old man is holding. This is where a more obscure piece of the system comes into play. Quipus were often made in pairs. A provincial accountant would record his data, send the quipu by messenger to a regional center or even to the capital, Cusco, where it would be checked against a master copy. It was a system of bureaucratic checks and balances, an audit trail made of string. The two men compare the chords, color by color, knot by knot, ensuring the data from the field matches the records at the center. No number could be fudged. No tribute could go missing without the discrepancy showing up in the strings. But as you stare at the tangle of information, you notice more. The colors. Why are some strings pure white, others a deep crimson, and some a mottled mix of yellow and blue? And the way the strings are twisted. Some to the right, some to the left. What does that mean? The old quipu MAOC finishes his work and looks up, his eyes seeming to gaze right through you. He says something in the formal dialect of Cusco that you barely understand, but the meaning is clear. Numbers are only the beginning. He hands you a single, undyed cotton cord. He shows you how to make a simple overhand knot. This, he implies, is the first letter in an alphabet you will have to master. You look at the complex quipu, with its hundreds of pendant strings and thousands of knots, and then back at the simple cord in your hand. The academic world of the future will fiercely debate whether quipus were purely for numbers or if they held a true three-dimensional language, a system of narrative literacy capable of recording laws, histories, and poems. Right now, You don't need to be a scholar to feel the truth of it in your gut. You are standing at the edge of a great mystery, and your job will not just be to run, but to carry the very soul of the Empire, written in a language of knots. You stand there, turning the simple cotton cord over in your hands. The old quip you see, MAOC, has already turned his attention back to his cascade of strings, his part in your introduction seemingly complete. It is the official, your guide, who finally breaks the silence. He gestures for you to follow him out of the dusty storehouse and into the blindingly bright plaza. He leads you to the edge of the settlement, to a point where the great road stretches out in both directions, disappearing into the immense, silent mountains. He lets the scale of the landscape sink in before he speaks. The tall one in Suyu is a body, he says, his voice quiet but firm. The Sepa Inca in his sacred city of Cusco is the mind and the heart. The Capac Ñan is the veins carrying life to every part. But a body without feeling, without speed, is useless. It cannot react to a wound. It cannot command its own limbs. We, the Chasqui, are the nerves of the Empire. We are the feeling. We are the speed. For the first time, you begin to grasp the sheer, breathtaking ambition of it all. An empire that governs millions, that moves armies, that distributes food over thousands of kilometers, all depends on the stamina of a single runner. A message, he explains, must travel from the turbulent northern frontier near Quito all the way to Cusco, a distance of over 2,000 kilometers in about a week. A normal traveler, even a nobleman in a litter, would take months. How is this possible? The answer isn't one man running for a week. The answer is a chain of hundreds of men, a human relay. You learn that you will not be running for days on end. You will be assigned a stretch of the road, roughly 20 to 25 kilometers long. Your entire world will shrink to that single segment. You will live at a small roadside station at Tambo with a partner. Your job is to be ready day or night in blistering sun or freezing rain. When you hear the sound of an approaching Chasqui, you will run out to meet him. While running alongside him, you will receive the message. If it's a quipu, he will hand it to you. If it's a verbal message, he will repeat it to you, over and over, until you have it perfectly memorized. Then you will turn and run your segment at top speed to the next station where your counterpart will be waiting to do the same. The message never stops. The chain is never broken. This life, he tells you, comes with certain benefits, a small but important detail. Your service as a Chasqui fulfills your mita, the mandatory public service tax that every able-bodied man owes to the state. While others from your village are hauling stones for a temple or digging irrigation canals, your duty is to run. You will be fed from the Sepa Inca's own storehouses, given the coca leaves you need for the trail, and provided with shelter. Your family back home might even be looked upon more favorably, granted some small measure of status because of your sacrifice. It's a strange kind of bargain, an exchange of your freedom and youth for a position of immense responsibility. You look around at the other boys who have been selected. Some stand tall, their chests puffed out, clearly seeing this as a path to glory. Others look thin and frightened, their eyes darting nervously towards the unforgiving peaks. You wonder about the runners who are already out there right now, pounding the stone paths. What happens to them? What is their life really like? Scholars in the centuries to come will look at the Spanish chronicles and wonder the same thing. Were the Chasqui revered, treated like elite athletes, undonnered specialists for their incredible endurance and memory? Or were they seen as a disposable resource, human cogs in a relentless machine, run until they broke and then quickly replaced? The official's speech is full of honor and the glory of the Empire, but you can feel the unspoken reality. The Empire needs the message to get through. It needs your legs more than it needs you. If you falter, if you twist an ankle or collapse from exhaustion, the system will not wait. Another will take your place. The ambition is not just in the Empire scale, but in its ruthless efficiency. The thin air you breathe suddenly feels charged with a new weight. The weight of expectation. The theoretical part of your orientation is over. The official leads you and the dozen or so other chosen youths away from the administrative center, back onto the Capac Ñan. But you don't travel far along its main artery. He directs you onto a smaller, steeper path that wings its way up a barren hillside. This is no longer a gentle walk. This is the true start of your evaluation. The other boys are quiet now, the nervous chatter replaced by a tense focus. The air thins noticeably with every upward switch back. Your initial selection run in your home village was a simple filter. This is the crucible. The first test is one of pure, grinding endurance. The official points to a distant cairn of stones, perched on a ridge that seems to scrape against the clouds. The task is simple, run there and back. No one tells you to pace yourself, but you instinctively know this is not a sprint. You fall into the same steady, rhythmic trot as before, a ground-eating gait that feels more like floating than running. You focus on your feet, shod in simple sandals called chutes. The soles are made from the tough, dried skin of a llama, and woven cords hold them to your feet. They are lightened, offer just enough protection from the sharpest stones, while still letting you feel the texture of the path beneath you. They are a tool you have used your entire life, an extension of your body. Many of the other boys, perhaps from slightly lower altitudes or less demanding terrain, start out too fast. Their bravado burns out within the first kilometer. You pass them as they lean against rocks, chests heaving, their faces pale. There is no shame in it. The mountain simply decides who belongs. You keep going, the cocoa leaves in your cheek doing their subtle work, dulling the growing ache in your legs and keeping your mind clear. The world narrows to the path ahead, the sound of your own breathing, and the steady beat of your heart. Reaching the cairn and turning back is only half the battle. The descent is a different kind of challenge, a test of agility. The path is strewn with loose scree, and your knees and ankles scream in protest. This is where sure-footedness is paramount. One misplaced step could mean a nasty fall, a twisted ankle, and instant disqualification. You watch another boy, someone who was strong on the ascent, take a small tumble. HES not badly hurt, but the official, watching from below with an unnerving sharp gaze, makes a small gesture to an assistant. The boy is out. The Empire cannot afford a runner who is not durable. Finally, back on the flatter ground near the starting point comes the final test. Two markers are set about 200 paces apart. Now, the official says, "You will show me your speed. This is the sprint. All the remaining energy you have is poured into this one. Explosive burst. Your lungs feel like they are being scoured with sand. Your vision narrows, and you can taste the coppery tang of pure exertion. You cross the line, stumbling to a halt, hands on your knees, desperately trying to pull the thin air into your starving lungs. But here is where the most important part of the selection happens, a detail lost to most historical accounts. The official does not simply look at who was fastest. He walks down the line of panting, exhausted boys, and observes you closely. How quickly does your breathing return to normal? Do your eyes remain clear and focused, or do they glass over with fatigue? Are you composed even in your exhaustion? It's a question historians still ponder. What were the secret criteria for a perfect Chasqui? Was it just physical prowess, or did the Inca know how to identify a certain mental fortitude? A runner's heart that wouldn't panic when a crucial message was on the line. The official stops in front of you. He watches you for a long moment as you force yourself to stand up straight to control your breathing. He gives another one of those barely perceptible nods. You have passed. You possess the physical gifts. Now, however, the real training is about to begin. It has nothing to do with your legs, and everything to do with what's inside your skull. You stand there, your body trembling with the aftershocks of exertion, while the official gives his final, assessing nod. But you are not led to a place of rest, not given a hearty meal to replenish your strength. Instead, you and the handful of others who passed are guided to a quiet, walled-off courtyard. The afternoon sun casts long shadows from the stone walls. Waiting for you there is an old man. He is not a noble with stretched earlobes or a bureaucrat with a quipu. He is lean and sinewy, his skin weathered like an ancient rock face, and his eyes, though clouded with age, are incredibly sharp. He looks like a retired version of what you are striving to become. He is your new instructor, and his domain is not the trail, but the vast, uncharted territory inside your head. Your legs, which you thought were your most important asset, are now irrelevant. The training that begins is silent, intense, and deeply personal. The old man speaks, his voice a low, gravelly monotone. He recites a short, simple phrase. Something like, "The regional Caraca at Inca Pampa reports that the spring planting is complete." He looks at you. You repeat it back, thinking this is easy. "The Caraca at Inca Pampa says the planting is done." The old man's expression doesn't change, but he shakes his head slowly. "I did not say the planting is done," he corrects. "I said the spring planting is complete." The Sapa Inca does not care for your summary. He commands the exact words. You are not the message. You are the vessel that carries it. The vessel must not leak. That one subtle correction sends a chill through you that the mountain air never could. The weight of this responsibility is suddenly immense. A single changed word could alter the meaning of a command, leading to confusion, waste, or worse. The training continues. The messages become longer, more complex, laden with specific numbers, unfamiliar names, and conditional instructions. 300 new spears from a craftsman at Cusco are to be dispatched to the fort at Usoi, but only after the tribute of dried fish arrives from the coast. Your brain swims with the details. You stumble. You mix up the numbers. You forget the name of the fort. Each failure is met with the same stony silence, the same slow shake of the head. It is brutally effective. The shame of failure is a far better teacher than any praise. Then, the old man shows you the technique. It's not about rote memorization. It's about building a picture, a story, inside your mind. He makes you close your eyes. "See the spears," he murmurs. "See the sunlight glinting on their copper tips. 300 of them. Now, see the fort. In Usoi, it means Inca house. Picture a strong stone house on a hill. Put the spears inside that house. Now, see the coast. Smell the salt. See the silver fish laid out to dry in the sun. The fish must arrive first. The fish are the key that unlocks the door to the Inca house where the spears are waiting." Suddenly, the information is not a string of words, but a living scene. It has logic, a sequence. It has a place to live inside your head. This is the secret, the palace of memory. Though you have no such fancy name for it, it is the art of turning abstract data into a tangible journey in your imagination. This very method is something future academics will endlessly speculate upon. Did the Chasqui use songs, rhyming schemes, or intensely personal visual cues to lock information in place? The Spanish conquerors who later documented the Chasqui system were astounded by their perfect recall over vast distances but never bothered to ask how they did it. They saw the result, the magic, but never learned the trick. You practice for days. The old man gives you lists of tribute, 20 woven blankets of alpaca wool, 50 clay pots of a certain design, 10 baskets of chili peppers. You learn to place each item in an imaginary storehouse in your mind, arranging them on shelves, feeling their texture, smelling their scent. He gives you commands, and you learn to link them to the faces of the officials you have seen, creating a mental cast of characters to carry out the actions. At night, you lie on your mat of reeds, not feeling the ache in your muscles, but the strain in your mind. The physical running was hard, but it was simple. This is a new kind of exhaustion. You realize now that a Chasqui runs two roads at once, the stone path beneath his feet, and the intricate, invisible path of memory he carries within his soul. One cannot exist without the other. Your mind is being forged into a reliable vessel, but the vessel itself, your body, must also be perfected. The training now splits. Mornings are for the mind, spent with the old man in the quiet courtyard, weaving complex narratives from dry data. But the afternoons are for the body, and they are just as demanding. You are what you eat, and the diet you are now given is meticulously controlled. The hearty, potato and quinoa stews of your village are gone. In their place is a diet designed for lean, explosive energy. Your main source of calories comes from chunyu, freeze-dried potatoes. The process is ancient and ingenious. Potatoes are spread out on the ground, left to freeze in the frigid Andean nights, then trampled by foot during the day to squeeze out the water, and finally left to dry in the sun. The result is a rock-hard, incredibly light ball of pure starch that can last for years. It doesn't taste like much, a jacky, slightly earthy flavor, but when boiled in water, it provides a massive dose of carbohydrates. Your protein comes from charqui, the original charqui. Strips of llama or alpaca meat are salted and dried high in the mountains where the air is thin and the sun is strong. It's tough, chewy, and intensely salty, but a small piece can sustain you for hours. This is supplemented with toasted maize kernels, called cancha, which you carry in a small woven bag, and endless amounts of coca leaves. The diet is monotonous, scientific, and stripped of all pleasure. It's fuel, nothing more. You miss the simple joy of a hot meal shared with your family. This is another small severing, another reminder that your body is no longer your own possession. It's a piece of state infrastructure. The physical conditioning is equally specific. You don't just run. You spend hours doing exercises that seem strange and pointless at first. You run up and down the steep terrace walls, not the stairs, to build explosive power in your thighs. You practice leaping over ditches, not for distance, but for precision, learning to land softly and silently. A key part of your training involves breath control. You are taught to breathe deeply from your diaphragm, to pull the maximum amount of oxygen from the thin air. You practice a specific rhythm of breathing as you run, seasoning your footsteps to your inhalations and exhalations. It turns running into a form of meditation, a state where you can almost forget the effort and simply flow over the ground. One of the most peculiar and important parts of your training is learning to go without water for long stretches. You are intentionally dehydrated, sent on short runs without a sip of water, then taught to recognize the early signs of thirst and push past them. The official explains that while there are streams in the mountains, you cannot always rely on them, and stopping to drink is a waste of precious time. Your body must learn to be efficient with its resources. It's a brutal but effective lesson in discipline. This intense focus on the body as a machine is a core element of the Chasqui system, but it also contains a fascinating and often overlooked spiritual component. Your instructors teach you that the mountains, the ipus, are living gods. They watch over you. Before every run, you are taught to make a small offering. You select 3 of the best coca leaves from your bag. The kin, too, hold them to the wind in the direction of the most sacred peak, and whisper a prayer for strength and safe passage. This is not superstition, it's a vital part of your mental preparation. It's a way of acknowledging the power of the world you run through, of placing yourself within it, not as its conqueror, but as its humble servant. Historians often focus on the logistics and the physical endurance of the Chasquis, but they sometimes miss this deep, personal connection to the landscape. It's a point that remains open to interpretation. Was this reverence for the ipus a genuine spiritual belief that fueled their running? Or was it a state-mandated ritual designed to instill discipline and a sense of higher purpose? For you, there is no debate. As you stand on a high pass, the wind whipping your hair, and gaze at the silent, colossal faces of the mountains, you feel their presence. They are your audience, your judges, and your partners. Your body, stripped down to its essential components, unfueled by the barest of necessities, is your only tool. But your connection to the earth beneath your feet and the peaks that watch over you, that is your true source of strength. The days of drills blend into one another until, without ceremony, they simply stop. One morning, you arrive at the training courtyard to find the old man and the official from Cusco waiting. There are no more memorization games, no more breathing exercises. There is only a quiet finality in the air. You have been deemed sufficient. Your mind is sharp enough, your body is strong enough. You will not break. Probably. On the ground before you is a small collection of items. It's your new uniform, the official toolkit of a Chasqui. There's a chuspa, the small woven bag for your coca leaves, but this one is more tightly woven and decorated with a simple, geometric pattern signifying your role. There's a fresh pair of Utes, the llama hide sandals, their leather still pale and stiff. There is a white feathered tuft to be tucked into your headband, a small flag that will identify you from a distance. And then there are the 2 most important items. One is the quipu arena, a square mantle of woven cloth designed to be tied around your shoulders to carry small parcels, or more importantly, the precious quipas, keeping them safe from the elements. The other item takes your breath away. It's a puchutiu, a large conch shell. It's beautiful, a perfect spiral of cream and pale orange, its opening polished to opalescent sheen. It feels heavy and solid in your hands, an object of impossible origins. You live at an altitude of over 3,000 meters, a world of rock and thin grass. This shell was born in the ocean, hundreds upon hundreds of kilometers away. This single object is a testament to the sheer scale of the empire, a piece of the distant, warm coast delivered to the cold, sharp peaks of the Andes. This isn't just a tool, it's a symbol of the Tawadanese, UI's power to unite different worlds. The fact that these shells were so valuable, that they had to be traded or exacted as tribute from coastal peoples long before one ever reached your hands, is a layer of complexity that underscores its importance. The official gestures for you to try it. You put the mouthpiece, a small hole drilled near the apex of the shell, to your lips and blow, expecting a mighty blast. A pathetic, breathy sputtering is all that comes out. The official's face remains impassive, but you can see a flicker of amusement in the old instructor's eyes. He takes the shell and demonstrates. He doesn't just puff his cheeks. He uses the deep, controlled breathing you practiced for weeks. He draws the air in from his diaphragm, and the sound that erupts from the shell is nothing like you imagined. It's a low, resonant, mournful cry. It's not loud so much as it is profound, a sound that seems to vibrate in your very bones. It rolls across the courtyard and out into the valley, echoing off the distant cliffs, a sound that belongs to the mountains themselves. He hands it back to you. This time you focus. You breathe as you were taught, concentrating the air into a tight, powerful stream. You blow again, and there it is. Your own blast, still a bit shaky, but it's the right sound. The official explains its purpose, the core knowledge of your trade. As you approach the end of your assigned relay leg, about a kilometer out from the next tambo, you are to sound the put-you-to-you. This is the signal. It alerts your partner, the next runner in the chain, that you are coming. He will then have time to prepare himself, to drink some water, to get into position, so that the handoff can happen seamlessly without a single wasted second. You practice the sound, and a question forms in your mind. Is it just one sound, or can you change it? Could a series of short blasts mean urgent military news, while one long blast means routine census data? Could different runners have their own unique signature call, a way of announcing their specific identity to the waiting station? You look at the official, but you know better than to ask. This is one of those details lost to the winds of time, a question that historians will puzzle over for centuries. The Spanish chronicles mention the horn, but not its language. For all we know, there could have been a whole system of acoustic signals that has vanished forever, an unwritten code of the Chasqui. The official nods, satisfied. You are ready, he says. He hands you a small, simple quipu. It has only a few strings, a few knots. A practice message. Your section is the ridge road to the west. Your station is the Contratambo. Run. Announce yourself. Hand this to your partner. Then wait for him to return. That's it. No graduation speech. No congratulations. Just a command. You strap the sandals to your feet, settle the QIP arena on your back, and tuck the put-you-to-you into your belt. You take a final look at the faces of your instructors, turn towards the Capac Ñan, and begin to jog. The training is over. Your life as a nerve ending of the empire has just begun. You jog out of the settlement, and the transition is immediate. The ground beneath your feet changes. You are now on the Capac Ñan proper, the royal road. It feels different. It feels important. The path is wider here, maybe 4 or 5 paces across, paved with heavy, dark stones that have been worked and fitted together with a precision that defies belief. There are no gaps, no wobbling rocks. The surface is not smooth like a polished floor, but textured, providing excellent grip for your sandals. It's a runner's surface built for speed and certainty. You feel the solid, unforgiving impact of each footfall, a rhythm that travels up your legs and into your chest. This is a road that has a purpose, and that purpose is speed. As you settle into your pace, your mind, now trained to notice details, begins to appreciate the genius of its construction. Along the edge of the road, a shallow channel has been cut, a miniature canal to divert rainwater and prevent it from washing away the foundation. On a steep incline, the road doesn't follow the gentle, winding path a normal person would take. Instead, it transforms into a breathtaking staircase of stone, rising directly up the face of the mountain. The steps are wide and low, designed not for a casual walker, but for someone like you, someone who can bound up them 2 or 3 at a time. It's a brutal, efficient design that reinforces the central philosophy of the Empire. The straightest path is always the best path, no matter what stands in the way. The mountain does not dictate the road dictates the mountain. You are utterly alone. You have walked paths your entire life, paths filled with neighbors, children, and llamas wandering to pasture. This road is silent. It is empty. Its surface is immaculately clean, free of debris and animal droppings. It hits you then that this is not a public thoroughfare. This is the exclusive property of the Cepa Inca. No commoner would dare walk here without express permission. To do so would be a grave offense. This emptiness creates a strange mix of loneliness and privilege. You are a sanctioned ghost, a fleeting presence permitted to fly along this forbidden corridor. Your white feathered headband is your passport, your puchu-tu your royal decree. Looking down from a high pass, you can see the road snaking its way across the landscape for kilometers in either direction. It is a physical line of ink drawn across the crumpled parchment of the Andes. You think about the sheer amount of human effort it must have taken to build this. Tens of thousands of men, working under the meter labor tax, hauling stones, cutting steps, leveling ground, all without beasts of burden or wheeled vehicles. They were the muscle and bone, you are the nerve impulse that flashes along the finished limb. Historians will debate the precise nature of travel on this road for centuries. Was it truly as restricted as the Spanish chroniclers claimed, a sterile channel for state business only? Or was there a layer of unrecorded local traffic, farmers crossing it to get to their fields, villagers sneaking along it at night? Looking at its pristine, empty state now, you suspect the official version is closer to the truth. The Empire's control feels absolute. Along the side of the road you notice a small, carved stone post. It's a marker, though you don't know the exact system of measurement it represents. It is, however, a reminder that this entire, vast network is meticulously planned and managed. This isn't just one road. It's a grid, a system with nodes and branches, all mapped and measured. A peculiar bit of folklore comes to mind. Something you once heard a traveler say, that some sections of the road were so well kept that a Chasqui could drop a single chili pepper and expect to find it still there on his return run days later. It's an exaggeration, of course, but it speaks to the incredible order and discipline that the road represents. It's an extension of the state's personality, organized, demanding, and all-encompassing. The practice quipu in your QIP arena feels light on your back. It's a simple message or test. But as you run, placing one foot perfectly in front of the other, you imagine carrying something of real consequence. A quipu detailing a failed harvest. A verbal command to move an army. The fate of thousands reduced to the speed of your legs and the integrity of this stone path. The road is more than a path. It's a promise. A promise that a message from Cuzco can reach the farthest corners of the empire, that the Cepa Incas will can be imposed upon a distant reality, and you are the fulfillment of that promise. In the distance, on the crest of the next ridge, you see a small, squat stone building with a thatched roof. Smoke curls lazily from a hole in the roof. The Kunter Temple, your destination, your new home. The stone building on the ridge grows closer with every stride. Kunter Temple, Kunter Station. The name feels appropriate, perched as it is on this high, lonely outcrop. Your body is on autopilot, legs pumping, lungs working efficiently, but your mind is racing. This is it, the first real handoff. You reach into your belt and pull out the puchu-tu. Your hands are slick with sweat, and for a terrifying second you worry you'll drop the precious shell and watch it shatter on the stones. You secure your grip, take a deep, controlled breath as you were taught, and press it to your lips. The sound that pours out is stronger this time, more confident. It's a deep, mournful cry that seems to hang in the thin air for a moment before the wind drips it away and sends it tumbling down the valley. It's your declaration, I am here. As you cover the final kilometer, your eyes are fixed on the small hut. Will anyone appear? Did they hear you? The anxiety is a fresh jolt of adrenaline. Then the door opens. A figure emerges, a young man about your age, already dressed in the same simple tunic and headband as you. There is no welcome mat, no friendly wave. He simply begins to jog towards you, his pace perfectly calculated to intersect with yours. This is the moment. He falls into step beside you, a perfect mirror of your own motion. For a few paces, the two of you run in absolute sync, two parts of a single machine. From the administrator at VIL Cashew Man you pant, reciting the practice message from your memory palace. Confirmation of the receipt of 20 alpaca blankets for the Eastern Garrison. Your voice is strained, but the words come out perfectly, exactly as you learned them. The other runner doesn't even look at you. His eyes are fixed on the path ahead. Confirmed, he says, his own voice a monotone of exertion. 20 blankets, Eastern Garrison. As he speaks, you're already untying the QIP arena from your shoulders, pulling out the small quipu. You hold it out, and he takes it without breaking stride. The exchange takes no more than 10 seconds. Then, just as smoothly as he appeared, he peels away from you, his own speed increasing as he settles in for his 20-kilometer leg. You slow to a jog, then a walk, your momentum bleeding away. You watch him until he is just a small, white speck against the vastness of the landscape, his form slowly swallowed by the road. You turn and walk the final few hundred paces to the temple. Now that the run is over, a profound exhaustion settles deep into your bones. The hut is small, maybe 4 paces by 5, with thick stone walls and a heavy thatched roof that keeps the interior cool and dark. A man is inside, tending a small, smoky fire in a pit lined with stones. He is older than you, perhaps in his late 20s, his face lean and weathered. This must be your station partner, the one who just returned from his own run. He grunts a greeting without looking up. The inside is sparse, a space that is aggressively functional. The sleeping platforms covered with ichu grass mats line one wall. A few clay pots for water and boiling chun you are stacked in a corner. Hanging from a peg is a spiritual IP arena and a string of dried meat. That's it. There are no carvings on the wall, no personal trinkets, no signs of a life beyond the road. This isn't a home, it's a waiting room. Your partner points to a pot of water. Drink, he says. It's an order, not an offer. Then rest. The next runner from the west could come at any time. This stark reality sets in. Your life is now divided into 2 states. Explosive, high-stakes running, and this, waiting. You sit on the empty sleeping mat, the rough grass scratching your legs, and you wonder about this place. Is this what all Tamboes are like? The Spanish who will arrive in a few decades will use the word tambo to describe everything from these tiny Chasqui huts to massive roadside inns that could house the Sapa Inca and his entire entourage. This has created endless confusion for historians who still debate the specific functions and classifications of these structures. Were these little stations strictly for you, the message runners? Or could a traveling official use one in a pinch? Your partner answers the unasked question. No one comes here, he says, staring into the fire. No one is allowed. Just us. It's an obscure but vital rule of the service, absolute isolation. No family, no friends, no distractions. For the next several months, this man, whom you have just met, will be the only person you speak to. The silence that follows his statement is heavier than the stone walls around you. Days turn into a new kind of rhythm, one dictated not by the sun, but by the distant, echoing cry of the Putyutu. You wait. You eat your bland fuel of Inca Chasqui. You watch your partner stare into the fire. You practice knotting a spare piece of cord, your fingers tracing the shapes of ones, tens, and hundreds, trying to make the movements as natural as breathing. Then, the call comes, and you spring into action. You run, you exchange, you return. The faces of the runners you meet become familiar blurs of exertion, nameless cogs in the same great machine. Some days, you carry nothing but a verbal message. Other days, you are handed a quipu, its strings carefully wrapped and protected in your QIP arena. One afternoon, a runner from the east hands you a particularly heavy and complex quipu. The main cord is thick, and dozens of pendant strings hang from it, a dense thicket of information. It feels important. As you settle into your 20-kilometer stretch, your mind begins to churn. You run past terraces where farmers are working, their backs bent to the earth. The quipu on your back, you know. likely contains the data of their harvest. This knot here might represent the number of potatoes from that very field. This crimson string might signify the portion owed in tribute to the Sapa Inca. You are carrying their labor, their sustenance distilled into a language of knots. You pass a group of men hauling massive stones for a building project, their movements slow and ponderous. The quipu you imagine might hold the census data that determined these very men were available for this meter duty. It's an unsettling thought. You are a flash of speed and efficiency, while their lives are measured in the slow, grinding movement of rock. You are both serving the Empire, but your roles feel worlds apart. You are the nervous system, they are the muscle. The quipu connects you, assigning your roles from a distant, unseen center of power. As you run, you can't help but let your fingers brush against the knots through the cloth of your QYP arena. You can feel the distinct shapes. A long knot with four turns, the number 4. A series of single knots, the number 3. You start to read the numbers with your sense of touch, trying to piece together the message. But it's the other details that truly fascinate you. The ones that the old quipu see hinted at. The main cord of this quipu is made from llama wool, but one of the pendant strings is pure white cotton. Why, does that signify a different category of item? Or perhaps a different source? There's a small, subsidiary string attached to one of the main pendant strings. It has its own set of knots. This is a level of complexity you were never taught. A footnote. An addendum. A correction. The official explanation you received was that quipus were mnemonics, memory aids to be paired with a verbal message. The quipu would see the knots and they would jog his memory of the full story. But this feels like more than a simple reminder. It feels like self-contained data, precise and absolute. This is the very heart of the debate that will rage among scholars in the centuries after your empire has vanished. The numeric school of thought will argue that quipus were nothing more than sophisticated accounting tools, glorified ledgers. But another school, the narrative school, will argue that they contain something more. They will point to the colors, the plying direction of the strings, est wist ors et wist, the complex hierarchy of subsidiary strings, and argue that these elements constituted a true form of three-dimensional writing, capable of recording not just numbers, but stories, laws, and genealogies. This is a hotly contested academic battleground. Some researchers will claim to have decoded parts of this code, suggesting, for instance, that a specific knot type on a specific color of string represents a specific town or a specific social duty. Right now, you are not a scholar. You are a runner, but you can feel the weight of this argument on your back. Is this just a list of goods, or is it a story? Is this not telling you 100 bushels of maize, or is it telling you 100 bushels of maize from the fertile valley of UK, designated for the celebration of the sun god, Inti? You will never know for sure. Your job is not to interpret, but to deliver. But as you raise the puchu to your lips to signal your approach to the next tambo, you can't shake the feeling that you are carrying a library on your back, a library whose language has been almost entirely forgotten, its secrets tangled in a silent, colorful web of string. The handover is complete. The other runner, a fleeting twin in your shared uniform, has dissolved back into the vastness of the Capac Ñan. Taking the quipu with him, you turn and begin the jog back to the Kuntur Tambo. This leg of the relay is different. There is no urgency, no message burning a hole in your mind. There is only the road, the sky, and the steady, rhythmic beat of your own body in motion. And there is the silence. It's a silence so profound it feels like a physical presence. The bustling, communal life of your village feels like a memory from another person's lifetime. Here, there are no children laughing, no dogs barking, no neighbors calling out greetings. There is only the whisper of the wind as it snakes through the high passes, the dry crunch of your sandals on the stone path, and the sound of your own breathing, a constant, puffing reminder that you are alive. This is the state in which you spend half your life, the lonely runner. The landscape is your only companion. The mountains, the great pews, are a silent, unblinking audience. Their snowy peaks catch the sunlight in a way that makes them seem to float above the world. Their rocky faces, etched with the lines of a million winters, sometimes look like giant, sleeping faces. You are taught to respect them as gods. But in this solitude, they begin to feel more like family, ancient, powerful, and indifferent, but always present. You are a tiny, fleeting speck of movement in their permanent, colossal stillness. Sometimes, you are not entirely alone. Far below in a green valley, you might see a herder guiding his flock of llamas, a slow-moving river of brown and white wool. You are too far away to call out, and you wouldn't anyway. He belongs to that world of farms and villages. You belong to the road. The separation is absolute. More often, your only companions are the wild creatures of the high Andes. You catch a glimpse of a vicuna, a slender, graceful cousin to the llama. It's the color of cinnamon. It watches you with huge dark eyes, its body tense and ready to bolt, before it turns and vanishes over a ridge with impossible speed. In these moments, you feel a kinship. It is also a creature of this lonely, vertical world, a wild spirit that thrives in the thin air. Your mind, with no one to talk to and nothing to read, starts to work in different ways. You notice the small things, the way a tiny, purple flower can find purchase in a crack between two massive paving stones, the subtle shifts in the wind that tell you a storm is gathering over the eastern peaks. The world becomes a tapestry of minute details. Your thoughts fall into the rhythm of your feet. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It becomes a chant, a mantra that clears your mind. Sometimes you rerun the messages from previous days in your head, practicing the art of the memory palace even when you have nothing to carry. You rebuild the imaginary storehouse, stock its shelves, and walk its corridors, just to keep the skill sharp. It is in these moments of profound solitude and physical exertion that the world can begin to feel strange. The line between reality and thought can blur. The combination of high altitude, rhythmic running, and sensory deprivation is a powerful one. Did you really just see a condor circling overhead? Or was it a shadow playing tricks on your eyes? Is the sound of the wind whistling through the rocks just the wind, or is it a voice whispering a language older than the empire itself? Historians and anthropologists of the future will speculate about this. Did the Chasqui, in their isolation, achieve altered states of consciousness? Did they have spiritual visions on the trail, experiences that the stoic, practical Spanish chroniclers would never have been told about, or would have dismissed as pagan nonsense? There are no records of this, no diaries from a runner's hand. There is only the logical possibility, a ghost of an idea that haunts the empty road. You push the thought away. Your job is to be reliable, not to have visions. You see a familiar landmark up ahead, a uniquely shaped rock that looks like a puma's head. This is your halfway marker. It tells you that you are 10 kilometers from the tembo, 10 kilometers from the brief, gruff companionship of your partner in the pot of boiled chunyu. The solitude is not your destination. It is simply the medium through which you must travel. It's the price of speed. You adjust your stride, check your breathing, and continue your steady, lonely trot towards the waiting silence of your station. One day, the routine is broken by something extraordinary. You are resting at the Kuntur Tambu when you hear the Puchu call, not from the east or west, but from a junior runner coming up a smaller, connecting path from the lower valleys. This is unusual. The message must be important to divert from the main artery. Your partner, whose turn it is, meets the incoming runner and returns not with a quipu, but with a small damp woven basket, tightly sealed. He grunts, thrusting it at you. For Cusco, he says. Run. No. He seems more agitated than you have ever seen him. Your own rest period is cut short, but there is no complaining. A direct order is a direct order. You take the basket. It feels cool to the touch and surprisingly heavy for its size. You secure it carefully in your QIP arena, nestling it against your back. You set off, pushing your pace a little harder than usual. The urgency is unspoken but palpable. As you run, your mind, naturally, turns to the mysterious cargo. What could be so important? It's not gold or silver, those would be transported by guarded llama caravans. It's not a document, that would be a quipu. A strange, fishy, salty smell begins to seep through the woven reeds of the basket. It's a smell you have never encountered before, a scent of the distant, almost mythical ocean. The puzzle pieces click into place in your mind. You have heard tales of this, Legends whispered among trainees. You are part of one of the most remarkable logistical feats of the empire. You are delivering fresh fish to the Cepa Inca's table. The imperial capital of Cusco is nestled high in the Andes, more than 450 kilometers from the nearest coast. For the divine ruler to eat a fish that was swimming in the Pacific Ocean just a day or two before seems like an impossible miracle. But the empire does not deal in miracles, it deals in systems. And you are the engine of this system. This isn't just about luxury, it's a profound statement of power. The ability to command nature to defy the tyranny of distance and decay is the ultimate demonstration of the Cepa Inca's authority. He can taste the ocean from his mountain throne. The sheer coordination required is staggering. A fisherman on the coast catches the fish. It's immediately passed to the first Chasqui in a chain that stretches, unbroken, from the sea to the mountains. Each runner must be ready, each handover flawless. A single delay, a single tired runner, and the entire enterprise fails. The fish would spoil, and the insult to the Cepa Inca would be immense. The pressure you feel now is greater than for any quipu you had ever carried. A mistake with a census record can be corrected. A rotten fish delivered to the living god cannot. Here's a small, peculiar detail that future historians will love to debate. What kind of fish was it? Some Spanish sources claim it was mullet. Others suggest flounder. The truth is lost, but the act itself is what matters. This practice highlights the incredible specialization of the Chasqui network. While your primary role is information, the system was clearly adaptable. If the Cepa Inca desired something small and perishable, the same relay that carried commands could be used to carry cargo. It was the ancient world's equivalent of an express, refrigerated delivery service. As you pound the stone path, the salty smell filling your nostrils, you picture the journey of this single fish. You see the waves of the great ocean, the fisherman in his reed boat, the frantic rush up the coastal plains, and now its journey with you, climbing higher and higher into the cold, thin air. You are just one of more than 200 runners who will touch this basket before it reaches its destination. You are a single, vital link in a chain of human effort that spans ecosystems, cultures, and altitudes. You blow your putu with a special urgency as you approach the next tambo. The runner who meets you has a look of intense focus in his eyes. He has clearly been briefed. You don't need to say a word. You pass the damp basket to him, and he is gone, a flash of white feathers disappearing down the road. You stand for a moment, catching your breath, the salty ghost of the fish still lingering in the air. You have just participated in an act of pure imperial theater. You've helped prove that for the Cepa Inca, there is no such thing as far away. The excitement of the fish delivery fades, and life returns to its normal, waiting rhythm. The next message you receive is a standard verbal one, a routine command about moving a small quantity of wool from one storehouse to another. It's simple, easy to lock into your memory palace. You set off on your westward route, the familiar emptiness of the Capac Ñan stretching before you. But this section of the road is different. The terrain becomes more severe, the path clinging precariously to the side of a deep gorge. The river below is a distant, silver thread, its roar a constant, low rumble that you feel more than you hear. Ahead of you, the solid stone path seems to simply end, evaporating into the thin air. For a heart-stopping moment, you think there's been a landslide, that the road is gone. Then you see it. Spanning the vast, terrifying gap is a bridge, but it's not made of stone or wood. It's made of rope. This is a Huachaca, one of the legendary suspension bridges of the Inca. Massive cables as thick as your thigh and woven from thousands of individual strands of ichu grass are anchored into heavy stone abutments on either side of the gorge. A floor of woven mats and sticks is laid across the main cables, and two smaller ropes serve as handrails. The entire structure sags in a gentle curve over the abyss, swaying and trembling with every gust of wind. Your training has prepared you for this, but the reality of it is still breathtaking. You slow from a run to a walk as you approach it. The wind howls through the gorge, and the bridge seems to sigh and groan in response. You take the first step. The woven floor feels springy and alive beneath your sandals, a stark contrast to the unyielding stone you've been running on. The entire structure sways with your weight. You grip the handrails, your knuckles white. The ropes feel rough and fibrous, a testament to the organic, living nature of the bridge. Looking down through the gaps in the floor amidst a mistake, the river is hundreds of meters below. A wave of vertigo washes over you. You fix your eyes on the stone anchor on the other side, focusing on your destination. You walk, a slow, deliberate shuffle, your body moving in rhythm with the bridge's sway. You are, for these few minutes, suspended between the two sides of the world, held aloft by twisted grass. The engineering of this is pure genius, a masterpiece of tension and natural materials. The grass cables are incredibly strong, but they are also biodegradable. This is not a permanent structure in the way a Roman stone bridge is. This bridge has a lifespan. This leads to one of the most fascinating aspects of Inca infrastructure, the annual rebuilding ceremony. Every year, for bridges like this one, the local communities on either side of the gorge would gather. The old bridge would be cut loose, falling into the river below in a symbolic act of renewal. Then, over the course of a few days, men and women working together would twist new ropes, hold them into place, and weave a brand new bridge. It was a massive communal effort, a ritual that reinforced social bonds and reaffirmed their connection to the land and the empire. It was practical engineering married to sacred ceremony. As you reach the halfway point, you can't help but wonder about the debates surrounding these bridges. Some historical accounts portray them as terrifying death traps, swaying so violently that travelers had to be carried across in a state of panic. Others describe them as perfectly safe and stable. The truth, you suspect, depends on the bridge and on the person crossing it. For the local people who rebuilt it every year, it was probably as normal as walking down a path. For a nervous outsider, it would be a nightmare. For you, it's simply part of the road, an obstacle to be crossed. You pick up your pace, breaking into a slow trot as you near the other side. You can feel the reassuring stability of the stone bottomed under your feet. You are back on solid ground. You don't look back. There's no time. You have a message to deliver. You settle back into your running rhythm, the memory of the swaying bridge, already beginning to feel like a strange dream. But the experience has left its mark. You have a new appreciation for the ingenuity of your people, for their ability to stitch the world together, not just with stone, but with humble, sacred grass. The road is not just about power, it is also about a deep, practical wisdom. Your route continues day after day, a monotonous cycle of running and waiting. But your trained mind, the mind of a Chasqui, never truly rests. You begin to see the Capac Ñan not just as a path, but as a living entity, an organism that requires constant care and attention. You start to notice the subtle signs of its maintenance. One day you run past a section where a small landslide has occurred overnight. A jumble of rocks and earth partially blocks the path. You expect it to be an obstacle for days, but on your return run, it's gone. The path is clear, the stones swept clean as if nothing had ever happened. You see them a few days later, a small crew of workers, a meter team from a nearby village. They aren't building a new road, they are tending the existing one. They move along the edge of the path, reinforcing a low wall here, clearing a drainage channel there. Their tools are simple, heavy stones used as hammers, and woven baskets for carrying away debris. They work with a quiet, focused efficiency, their movements economical and practiced. They are the road's tenders, its gardeners. When they see your white feathered headband approaching, they immediately stop their work and move off the path, lowering their heads in a sign of respect as you pass. You are the vital nerve impulse. They are the glial cells that maintain the nerve pathway. This brings to light a crucial, often overlooked, aspect of the Inca road system. It was not just built, it was relentlessly maintained. The empire's obsession with order extended to every kilometer of its 40,000-kilometer network. This constant upkeep was a massive logistical undertaking in itself, requiring a dedicated workforce drawn from the local populations all along the route. It was their responsibility, their duty to the Cepa Inca, to ensure that their segment of the road was always in perfect condition. This obsession with the road's integrity leads to an incredibly harsh but logical set of laws. You learned of them during your training. To damage the road was not just vandalism, it was treason. To intentionally block the path, to break a paving stone, or, most heinously, to damage one of the sacred rope bridges, these were crimes punishable by death. There is no trial, no appeal. The road was a sacred object, an extension of the Sepe Inca's own body, and to harm it was to harm the emperor himself. This raises a fascinating question for later historians. How strictly were these laws enforced? The Spanish chronicles, always keen to portray the Inca as stern authoritarians, emphasize the death penalty for even minor infractions. But was this the full picture? Or was there a degree of local discretion? Perhaps a farmer whose llama accidentally dislodged a stone was treated differently from a saboteur attempting to disrupt military movements. The archaeological record shows a perfectly maintained road, but it cannot tell us the stories of the social pressures, the warnings, and the punishments that kept it that way. It remains a subject of academic debate, a gap between the official law and the unwritten reality. One afternoon, on a particularly lonely stretch, you see a strange sight. A single paving stone, one of the heavy, dark flagstones, has been pried up and lies next to the road. For a moment you feel a jolt of alarm. Is this damage? Sabotage? Then you see him, a single old man, kneeling by the hole. He is not a maintenance worker. His tunic is that of a simple farmer. He is carefully placing a small, carved stone figure and a perfect ear of corn into the hole before replacing the flagstone. He is feeding the road. It's a pagoalatira, an offering to the earth, or in this case, to the spirit of the road itself. He is not damaging it. He is honoring it, treating it as a living deity that requires sustenance. You slow your pace as you pass, and he meets your eyes. There is no fear in his gaze, only a deep, quiet piety. You give a slight nod in acknowledgement of his act. He has not broken the state's law, but he has revealed a deeper one. The empire maintains the road with muscle and fear, but the people who live alongside it maintain it with a sense of reverence and reciprocity. The Capac Ñan is not just a tool of the state. It's a feature of the spiritual landscape, a powerful entity to be respected and appeased. You are a runner for the emperor, but you realize in that moment that you are also running on holy ground. The road has become your world, the contour amber your only anchor. The stark functionality of the little stone hut, once so alienating, is now a familiar comfort. The silence of your partner is no longer awkward. It's a shared understanding. You have your sleeping mat, he has his. The fire pit is the center of your tiny universe. You know without looking where the water pot is, how many strips of charqui are left hanging, and which way the wind will blow the smoke when the door is open. But this small, specialized world is about to be put into perspective. One morning, the runner from the east arrives not with a message for the next relay, but with a quip used specifically for your station. Your partner takes it, his fingers quickly gliding over the knots. He grunts. Our sandals are worn. The charqui is low. He reads a few more knots. We are to go to the tambo at Vil Cashew Man to be responded. This is a significant change in your routine. Vil Cashew Man is a major administrative center, a day's journey down in a larger, more populated valley. You will have to leave your post and man for a time. A clear sign that the system has redundancies built into it that you were never told about. The journey down is a strange reversal of your initial ascent into this life. The air grows thick and warm, smelling of damp earth and vegetation instead of cold rock. The world becomes greener. You leave the silent, empty heights and denser landscape, dotted with farms and small hamlets. People on the paths now stare at you, their eyes lingering on your white feathered headband. You are an object of curiosity, a representative of the state descending from the mysterious forbidden road. Vil Cashew Man is not a simple hut on a ridge. It's a sprawling complex. A high wall encloses a vast plaza, and the buildings within are large and imposing, built with the fine, mortarless stonework you saw in the regional capital during your training. A guard at the gate, armed with a spear, gives you a long, appraising look before letting you pass. The inside is a shock to your system. It is teeming with life. This is not a mere waiting room. It is a vital organ of the empire. Officials with their distended earlobes stride across the plaza, deep in conversation. A small contingent of soldiers, their tunics a bold checkerboard pattern, are resting in the shade of a long portico, their heavy clubs propped against the wall. In one corner, A craftsman is patiently repairing the straps on a set of litter poles, the kind used to carry nobles. The air is filled with the murmur of voices, the grunting of llamas being loaded with sacks of grain, and the distant rhythmic clang of a copper worker's hammer. It smells of wood smoke, cooking stew, and damp earth. An administrator, a stern-faced man who seems to radiate authority, reads your quipu and directs you to a series of long, stone buildings on a breezy slope overlooking the main plaza. These are the QLQs, the storehouses. You have carried the data of what they contain, but you have never seen them from the inside. A keeper unlocks a heavy wooden door, and you step into a cool, dim interior. The sight stops you in your tracks. This is the Empire's pantry. Neatly stacked against one wall are hundreds of pairs of suits, the sandals all identical to yours. In another section, thousands of tightly folded woolen blankets are piled to the ceiling, their colors and patterns creating a vibrant tapestry. There are clay pots of every size, bundles of spearheads gleaming dully in the dim light, and in a far corner, a mountain of chasqui white chunyu. You are given your new sandals and your ration of jerky, but you linger for a moment, absorbing the sheer, overwhelming evidence of the Empire's logistical power. This is what the numbers on the quipus mean. This is the reality behind the knots. Every single item is accounted for, stored, and ready for distribution. This tambo is not just a resting place. It's a warehouse, a barracks, a repair shop, and an administrative office all in one. This is a key point of confusion for those who will come later. The Spanish, seeing this place, would call it a tambo. They would see your tiny hut on the mountain and also call it a tambo. The word becomes a catch-all that obscures the truth. Historians will argue for centuries about the classification of these sites. Were there distinct names for a royal in versus a supplied Igbo versus a Chasqui station? You realize, standing in the heart of this bustling hub, that the system is a complex hierarchy. Your Chasqui is a tiny, specialized satellite, a nerve ending. This place is a ganglion, a cluster of nerves and resources processing information and dispatching supplies. It's the gossip you overhear that truly illustrates this. Two officials are quietly discussing a pest that has affected the maize crop in a southern province. A soldier is complaining about the poor quality of stone in a new quarry. This is information flowing not on quipus, but through the informal human network that a place like this creates. You and your partner begin the long walk back up the mountain, the new sandals stiff on your feet, the weight of the chasqui reassuring on your back. The Kuntur Tambo will feel even smaller and quieter when you return, but you now understand it better. You are not isolated. You are the tip of the spear connected by the shaft of the Capac Ñan to the powerful hand that holds it. Your lonely station is an outpost of this vast, breathing, surprisingly complex organism. Back at the Kuntur Tambo, the silence feels different, less like isolation and more like focused potential. Your journey to VIL Cashew Man has broadened your perspective, showing you the vast machine you are part of. Now, when a quipu is placed in your hand, you see beyond the knots. You see the storehouses, the officials, the intricate web of needs and resources, and your fascination with the quipu itself deepens. You've mastered reading the simple decimal system, the language of numbers. But you can't shake the feeling that you are only reading the first layer of a much deeper text. One day, the special quipu arrives. It's not large, but it is unusually colorful. It's on its way to a master quipu C, a male C in a provincial capital to the west, and you are its temporary guardian. During your return jog to your station, you allow yourself a moment to stop. Use it on a flat stone overlooking a valley, the road empty in both directions, and you carefully unwrap the quipu. You hold it up in the clear mountain sunlight. The colors are dazzling. The main cord is a deep, rich brown, but the pendant strings are a rainbow. There's a vibrant crimson, a sunny yellow, a deep indigo blue, and a verdant green. Some strings are not a single color, but are twisted from two different colored threads, a strand of white and a strand of black spiraling around each other. You remember the old instructor from your training, how he hinted that the colors were not just for decoration. Now, holding this quipu, you are certain of it. Your mind begins to work, trying to find the logic. What could the colors mean? The most straightforward theory, The one you've heard whispered is that they represent categories. Perhaps yellow signifies gold, or maize, both being of a similar color. Perhaps red, the color of blood and warfare, represents soldiers or military supplies. Maybe blue represents the ocean, or tribute from the coastal provinces. And green could mean the jungle regions, or perhaps the agricultural tribute of green beans or other vegetables. This seems logical, a simple color coding system to make the numerical data easier to parse. But then you look at the twisted strings, the white and black strand. What could that be? The union of two concepts, peace and war, night and day, or is it more abstract? Perhaps it signals a change in accounting, a correction to a previous record. This is where the simple categorical theory begins to feel inadequate. And this is precisely where future researchers will hit a wall. While some Spanish chroniclers noted that colors had meaning, they recorded only a few, very basic associations. The full glossary, if one ever existed in a standardized form, was never written down. It was knowledge passed from master to apprentice, a secret language for the initiated. You look closer at the knots themselves. You know the decimal system, the long knots for numbers 2 through 9, the single knot for the tens, the figure 8 for the number 1. But you notice subtle variations. On one of the crimson strings, the knots seem tighter, harder. On a yellow string, they seem looser, almost decorative. Is this just the personal style of the quipu CEMAOC who made it, his individual handwriting? Or is the very tension of the knot part of the code? This is a fringe theory, an obscure corner of quipu studies that most mainstream historians of the future will dismiss, but some will champion with passionate conviction. They will argue that the quipu was not just read by sight and touch, but that it contained a level of tactile information that is now lost to us. They will speculate that a master reader could feel the difference between a military knot and a tribute knot, that the very act of making the knot imbued it with a specific meaning beyond its numerical value. Was it possible that the way a knot was tied, clockwise or counterclockwise, held binary yes-no information? You run your thumb over a complex knot on a blue string. It feels different. It has the right number of turns to be a 7, but it's attached to the pendant string in a slightly different way. You try to imagine what this could mean. 7 numbers. Or is it more complex? Could the color blue mean sent from the Cepa Inca, the knot type mean lawless, and the number means 7? Suddenly, you are not just looking at a number, but at a complete sentence written in a language of vibrant geometry. The wind picks up, a cold reminder that you have lingered too long. You carefully wrap the colorful quipu and place it back in your QIP arena. You are just a messenger. They wrestle. It is not your job to decode this mystery, but the puzzle will stay with you, lodged in your mind. The possibility that you are carrying not just data, but poetry, history, and law written in a silent, vibrant code that only a handful of people left in the Empire can truly read. The run back to the Tambo is filled with a new sense of awe and a profound sense of loss for a knowledge that you instinctively feel is incredibly fragile. The vibrant, mysterious quipu is handed off, its secrets passed to the next runner in the chain. Your life settles back into its familiar cadence. But the puzzle of the quipu has unlocked a new level of understanding in your mind. You begin to think not just about the messages themselves, but about the value of the information you carry. And the most valuable commodity you deal in is not numbers or colors, but speed. You are on a return run, your back empty, your mind free. The jog back to the Tambo is your own time. You could, if you wanted, slow, do a walk. You could sit by a stream for an hour. No one would know. Your partner at the station isn't expecting you at a specific moment, but you don't slow down. You maintain your steady, practice trot. Why? Part of it is discipline, ingrained by your training, but part of it is a new, dawning comprehension of the system's temporal logic. Your speed directly translates into power for the Cepa Inca in Cusco. Think about it. A rebellion breaks out in a northern province. If news of that uprising travels by a normal merchant caravan, it could take 2 months to reach the capital. By the time the emperor even hears about the problem, the rebellion could have festered, grown, and spread to neighboring regions. The army he eventually dispatches would be marching to face a much larger, more entrenched enemy. But with the Chasqui system, That same news arrives in Cuzco in under a week. The Sapa Inca has almost 2 full months of extra time to react. He knows about the spark before it becomes a wildfire. He can dispatch a small, fast-moving contingent of soldiers to quell the uprising before it gains momentum. He can send messengers ahead to neighboring provinces, warning their governors and securing their loyalty before the rebels can. You're running his compressed time. You have given the Empire the gift of foresight. This is the true, strategic value of your legs. It allows the Empire to be proactive instead of reactive. It's why your route is so direct, why the staircases go straight up mountainsides instead of winding around them. Every minute saved in your 20-kilometer relay contributes to this massive strategic advantage. Shaving 10 minutes off your run might seem insignificant, but multiply that by the 100 runners between you and the capital, and the Sapa Inca has gained a full day of reaction time. One afternoon, you are handed a verbal message. It is short and cryptic. The condor flies east. The supplies are secure. It sounds like poetry, but you know it is code. The condor likely refers to a specific general or official. Flies east is his direction of travel. Supplies are secure means the regional QLLQ is full and ready for his army. You don't know the specifics of the military campaign, but you understand its logistical backbone. Your message, delivered quickly, ensures that the army and its food supply will arrive in the same place at the same time. A slow message could mean an army arriving to find empty storehouses, a recipe for disaster. Historians will later marvel at the Inca's ability to move armies and supplies with such incredible efficiency, often contrasting it with the cumbersome, slow-moving logistical trains of their European contemporaries. The secret was superior technology. They had no wheeled vehicles or beasts of burden faster than a llama. The secret was information management. The secret was you. The quipu tracked the inventory in every storehouse, and the Chasqui provided a near real-time update on that inventory. The Empire was a massive, decentralized organism that could be centrally controlled because its nervous system was so fast. There's an obscure but fascinating debate among military historians. Did the Chasqui system give the Inca too much of an advantage, making them overconfident in their own ability to manage their vast domain? Did their mastery of internal communication leave them vulnerable to an external threat that didn't play by their rules, a threat that moved in unpredictable ways? It's a question you can't possibly comprehend, but the seed of it is there in your daily work. The system is perfect, a finely tuned clockwork of runners, roads, and knots. It feels unbeatable. As you near the Contour Tambo, you see your partner is already outside, stretching, looking down the road, waiting for you. He knows, roughly, when you should be back. There is an unspoken schedule. Your reliability is the foundation of his readiness. Your speed is his starting block. You realize that your personal discipline is not just about you. It's about the integrity of the entire chain. You are not just running a race against time. You are a living component of the Empire's most valuable asset, certainty. The coded message about the condor flying east is a precursor. The rhythm of the road changes. The messages become more frequent. The runners you meet more harried. The air itself seems charged with a new tension. You are no longer just carrying census data or supply requests. You are carrying the nervous energy of an empire on the move. The verbal messages are short, clicked, and urgent. Reinforce the garrison at Tamibamba. Watch the northern passes. The Canary are restless. You commit them to your memory palace, building a grim, shadowy diorama of military maneuvers in your mind. One evening, as dusk bleeds across the sky, you hear the Puchu-Tiu call. It's late, far later than the usual traffic. A runner is coming from the west, from the direction of the capital. This is highly irregular. You meet your partner, who is just returning, and he immediately turns around to go back out. His duty is to handle the next message. No matter how exhausted he is gone for longer than usual. When he finally returns to the Tambo, his face is pale in the firelight. He carries no quipu. He simply looks at you, his usual stoicism gone, replaced by a raw fear. He relays the message he was given, his voice barely a whisper. The Sapa Inca is dead. The words hang in the small hut, seeming to suck all the warmth from the fire. Hugh and Capac, the great emperor, the son of the sun, is gone. He died not in battle, but of a strange sickness that swept through the northern armies. A sickness that caused fever and dark spots on the skin. The same sickness has also claimed his chosen heir. You are stunned into silence. The Capac Inca is the center of your universe. He is the state. His death is not just the passing of a man. It is a cosmological event, a crack in the very foundation of the world, and it has created a power vacuum. The message your partner received was only the first part. The second part is the true reason for the late-night run. The two remaining sons of Hugh and Capac, who Ascar in Cusco and Atahualpa with the army in the north, are now rivals for the throne. The empire is poised on the brink of civil war. This is a moment that will be endlessly analyzed by historians. The Inca War of the Two Brothers was a cataclysmic event that ravaged the empire for years. It pitted north against south, general against general, brother against brother. And you, the Chasquis, were the conduits for this conflict. The very system designed to hold the empire together was now being used to tear it apart. The next message you have to carry feels impossibly heavy. It is a command for the local Curaca in the next valley to declare his loyalty to Huascar, the heir in Cusco, and to send his fighting men to join the southern armies. As you run, your mind is a battlefield. You are from this region, a territory that has closer ties to the northern armies of Atahualpa. By carrying this message, you are acting as an agent against the interests of your own people. Your loyalty is to the road, to the system, but for the first time, you feel the tug of a different allegiance. The run is a nightmare. Every step feels like a betrayal. You are no longer an impartial vessel. You are a weapon. The speed that was once a source of pride now feels like a curse. You are rushing a declaration of war to its destination. Your efficiency will lead directly to bloodshed. This internal conflict is a subtle but profound aspect of your role, one that no Spanish chronicler would ever capture. They would see you as a simple servant of the state, but they could never understand the complex web of regional ethnic loyalties that existed beneath the surface of the unified empire. Was a Chasquis loyalty absolute, or were there moments of subtle sabotage, messages accidentally forgotten or delayed by runners sympathetic to the other side? It is a question that can never be answered, buried in the unmarked graves of the Civil War. You reach the next tambo and see the waiting runner. You open your mouth to relay the command from Cusco. For a terrifying second, you consider saying nothing. You could pretend the message never came. You could feign exhaustion, confusion. Who would know? But then you look at the other runner's face, a mirror of your own duty-bound existence. You see the white feathered headband, the symbol of your oath, and you know you cannot. You are a cog in the machine, and the machine is now geared for war. You recite the devastating words, passing the torch of conflict into his waiting hands. He nods grimly and turns to run, carrying the seeds of civil war into the next valley. You have done your duty, and you have never felt more hollow. The civil war rages. The Capac Ñan, once a symbol of unity, becomes a frantic artery of conflict. The messages you carry are now exclusively about troop movements, victories, defeats, and demands for loyalty. The faces of the other runners are grim, their eyes hollowed out by exhaustion and the moral weight of the information they carry. The system designed for a stable empire strains under the pressure. Handoffs are sometimes chaotic, happening in the dead of night, illuminated by a flickering torch. The perfect clockwork efficiency is grinding down, replaced by a desperate urgency. One day you are running your westward route, carrying a quipu that details casualties from a recent battle. The numbers are grim, knots of death and loss. As you round a bend, you see a group of people walking towards you on the road. This is highly unusual. The road has always been empty, reserved for official traffic. But these are not officials. They are commoners, a family. It looks like a man, a woman, and two small children, carrying their meager belongings in bundles on their backs. They are refugees, fleeing the violence that your messages are coordinating. When they see you, a Chasqui, a symbol of the state that has torn their lives apart, they don't show deference. They show fear. They scramble off the road, pressing themselves against the rocky hillside as if trying to become invisible. The man shields his children's eyes. You are no longer a respected figure. You are an omen, a harbinger of the war that has driven them from their homes. You slow your pace, your heart pounding with a mixture of pity and shame. You are a feared runner now, not a flying leg. This encounter shakes you to your core. Before, the common people were a distant backdrop to your run, figures working in the fields below. You were above them both literally and figuratively. Now, their suffering is here, on your sacred road, looking you in the face. You have always been told that you serve the Empire, that your work ensures the stability and prosperity of the Tawan Suyu. But the evidence in front of you is a starving family with terror in their eyes. The Empire is devouring its own people, and you are the nervous system commanding the jaws. As you continue your run, the image of the family is burned into your mind. You begin to see the landscape differently. A terraced field that once looked like a symbol of agricultural genius now looks abandoned, its potato crop intended. A small village in a valley, which should have a plume of hearth smoke rising from it, is silent and still. The war is not just a conflict between two brothers. It is a sickness draining the life from the land. This is a perspective rarely captured in the grand historical narratives, which focus on the battles and the royal politics. The Spanish chroniclers who arrived during the final stages of this war documented the political chaos but paid little attention to the civilian cost. How did the average farmer or weaver experience this conflict? How many were displaced, starved or killed, caught between the warring factions? It's a question that archaeology can only partially answer through evidence of abandoned settlements and disrupted trade routes. The true depth of the people's suffering is a ghost that haunts the historical record. Your role in the community has been inverted. In the Empire's golden age, a Chasqui was a sign of connection, of the Sapa Inca's benevolent reach. A runner arriving in a region might be bringing news of a new irrigation project or a celebratory festival. You were seen as elite, special, a source of pride for your home village. Now, your arrival means fear. It means new demands for soldiers, more tribute of food to feed the armies, and news of death. You are no longer a welcome sight. You deliver the quipu of casualties to the next runner, a grim-faced boy who looks no older than 15. He takes it without a word and runs. You wonder about him. Does he have a family like the one you just saw? Is he too running from a home that has been destroyed? The war has turned you all into phantoms, flying along the roads of a dying empire, delivering messages of its self-destruction. The pride you once felt in your speed and stamina has curdled into a bitter ash in your mouth. You are the best in the world at what you do, and right now, what you do is carry misery at top speed. The war grinds on, a meat grinder chewing up the provinces. The messages you carry become less about grand strategy and more about desperation. You carry quipus detailing dwindling food supplies and verbal messages that are little more than pleas for reinforcements that will never come. The pristine surface of the Capac Ñan begins to show signs of neglect. A drainage channel is clogged here. A few stones are missing there. The meticulous maintenance has broken down. The gardeners who once tended the road have been conscripted as soldiers or have fled. The road, like the empire it serves, is fraying at the edges. Your life at the Conterdambo is also changing. Your partner, the silent, stoic man you have shared this tiny space with, is gone. One morning he simply was there. He took his sandals and his coke bag and vanished. Did he desert? Was he secretly recalled? Was he an Atahualpa sympathizer who could no longer bring himself to carry messages for the armies of Cusco? You will never know. He has been replaced by a tense, jumpy teenager who barely looks you in the eye. The silent companionship has been replaced by a nervous, mistrustful silence. The unofficial rules of the road are also breaking down. One day you are running with a message when you see another runner approaching from the opposite direction. This should not happen. Your relays are timed to prevent this. He is not from your chain. His headband has a slightly different pattern. He is a Chasqui for Atahualpa's faction. For a moment you both slow down, an animal tension in the air. You are enemies. Your messages are designed to destroy each other's armies. Do you fight? Do you try to intercept his message? The thought is absurd. You are runners, not soldiers. Your only weapons are your legs. The other runner seems to come to the same conclusion. He gives you a wide berth, moving to the far side of the road. He keeps his eyes fixed forward, and you do the same. You pass each other in a bubble of charged silence, two messengers of death crossing in the afternoon sun. This encounter is a tiny, unrecorded footnote in the Great Civil War, but it speaks volumes. The breakdown is so complete that the rival nervous systems of the Empire are now literally brushing past each other on the same pathways. It is in the Tamboes that you learn the unwritten rules of survival in this new era. Information now flows into streams, the official messages you carry on the road, and the rumors and news you glean during the handoffs or at the larger supply stations. You learn to listen. You hear about which local governors have switched their allegiance, which roads are no longer safe, and where the armies are foraging or pillaging. This secondary stream of information is now just as important for your survival as the official one. This dual information system is something that official histories can never capture. They record the quipus and the commands, but not the whispers, the gossip, the road talk that gave a runner the real picture of the situation on the ground. Academics might debate the monolithic control of the Inca state, but you are living the reality. When the central authority fractures, local knowledge and informal networks become paramount. It's a kind of grassroots intelligence, a web of rumors that travels alongside the imperial mail. One evening at a handoff, the runner you meet is gasping, not just from exertion but from fear. They are burning the quipus he pants, handing you a simple verbal message. Atahualpa's generals. They captured a quipu ca Maoc from Huascar's side. They are destroying the records. This is a new level of horror. This is not just war. It is an attack on memory itself. To burn a quipu is to erase a harvest record, to delete a census, to annihilate the history and the legal claims of a region. It is a way of wiping your enemy from the official reality of the empire. Then army can be rebuilt. They burned library of knots cannot. You take his message and run, your mind reeling. The sanctity of the quipu, the inviolable, sacred nature of the knotted record, has been broken. The war is no longer about who should sit on the throne. It is about who gets to write the story, or rather, who gets to erase it. You feel like you are running through a world that is actively trying to forget itself, a world where the threads of civilization are being deliberately, violently unraveled. The road beneath your feet feels less like a highway and more like a tightrope, stretched over an abyss of chaos and forgetting. The war eventually finds its victor. Atahualpa's seasoned generals from the north outmaneuver and crush Huascar's southern armies. The news ripples down the Capac Ñan, not as a single formal announcement, but as a cascade of smaller messages and observable changes. Runners who were once tense and fearful now carry themselves with a grim confidence. The messages you carry are no longer pleas for help, but commands for consolidation. The core Codex OA is to be replaced. Send all gold artifacts to Cajamarca. Execute the remaining generals of Huascar's faction. The tone is ruthless, efficient, and final. You are now a servant of a new Cepa Inca, Atahualpa. Your loyalty, which was always to the system rather than the man, simply transfers. The road doesn't care who won. Its purpose is to transmit the will of the victor. You are a tool, and the hand that wields you has changed. You adopt the new protocols, learn the new codes, and run for Atahualpa as you once ran for Huascar. It's the only way to survive. One day, you are summoned from your lonely tembo down to a regional center. An official from Atahualpa's court addresses you and a handful of other Chasquis. His tone is cold and pragmatic. The Cepa Inca, he explains, is the embodiment of the sun, the center of the cosmos. His will is absolute. The years of war were unnecessary, if regrettable, purging of a weakened illegitimate ruler. Now is the time to restore order, to rebuild, to make the Tawan Suyu whole again under its rightful leader. His speech is a masterpiece of political propaganda designed to legitimize Atahualpa's bloody path to power. He is reframing the narrative, turning a brutal civil war into a righteous crusade. You listen, your face an impassive mask, but inside, your mind is a whirl of contradictions. You remember the refugee family. You remember the burned quipus. You remember the fear and the chaos. This clean, heroic version of events feels like a lie, but it is a lie you must now live and serve. This moment is a fascinating, small-scale example of how history is written by the victors. The official story is smoothed out, its inconvenient and brutal details sanded away. Historians of the future will have to sift through these official narratives, comparing them with the often biased accounts of the Spanish and the silent testimony of archaeology to try and piece together a more truthful picture of the War of the Two Brothers. They will debate Atahualpa motives into Oscar's failings, never knowing for sure what was truth and what was post-war spin. The official then gives you your new directive. You are to be part of an effort to demonstrate the Sapa Inca's absolute power and control. You are assigned to a special series of relays, not carrying military commands, but luxury goods intended for the new court, which Atahualpa has established in the northern city of Cajamarca. You carry delicate, brightly colored feathers from the eastern jungles, rare medicinal herbs, and small, exquisitely crafted gold ornaments. It is, in a way, a return to the old mission. Like the fish you once carried, these items are a statement. They are proof that the Empire is once again functioning, that its logistical network is secure, and that the new Sapa Inca can command the finest resources from the farthest corners of his domain. It is a performance of stability, and you are a principal actor. You run with the same dedication as always, your body a finely tuned instrument of the state's will. The road is being repaired, the authority of the state is being reasserted, and a fragile, scarred peace is settling over the Andes. You allow yourself a sliver of hope. Perhaps the worst is over. Perhaps the Empire can heal. Perhaps your life as a runner can return to the proud, orderly rhythm of the past. You are carrying the symbols of the Emperor's will, helping to weave the illusion of a restored and eternal empire. The work of stitching the Empire back together continues, one run at a time. The luxury goods, the symbols of restored order, flow north, towards Cajamarca, where Atahualpa holds his court. Your life has found a new, if somewhat scarred, normality. The road is your home, the relay your purpose. You stop for a day at a large supply depot to rest and get a new pair of sandals. The place is busy, but it's an organized bustle, a stark contrast to the panicked chaos of the war. Soldiers, officials, and craftsmen move with a renewed sense of purpose under the banner of the new Sapa Inca. You find yourself sharing a meal of boiled maize and charqui with a few other off-duty runners in a corner of the great plaza. The conversation is quiet, a mix of road gossip and practical concerns. One runner complains about a washed-out bridge on a lesser path. Another describes the impressive new stonework being done on a temple in a nearby valley. It's the sound of an empire getting back to work. Then a runner who has just arrived from a long stint on the far western routes, the ones that touch the arid coastal plains, says something that makes the air go still. He speaks in a low voice, almost a whisper, as if afraid of being mocked. The fishermen on the coast are telling strange stories, he says. They say mountains are floating on the great sea. There is a moment of silence, then a few skeptical snorts. Floating mountains. Did they chew too many cocoa leaves? Another runner scoffs. No. The coastal runner insists, his eyes wide. That's what they say. Great big houses bigger than this tambo, that move on the water with giant white wings like moths. And they are carrying men. This piques every honest interest. The details become stranger. They are not our people, the runner continues. They wear metal on their heads and chests that shines like the sun. And the strangest thing, they have hair growing all over their faces, like alpacas. A ripple of laughter goes through the small group. Men with wool on their faces. It's a comical, almost grotesque image. Inca men are mostly beardless, and any stray facial hair is meticulously plucked out. A full beard would be seen as unkempt, animalistic, and deeply unnatural. The idea is so foreign that it's treated as a joke, a tall tale from the superstitious and easily excitable coastal folk, who were always viewed with a certain suspicion by you Highlanders. But the coastal runner isn't laughing, and their animals, he adds, his voice dropping even lower. They have these giant llamas, with no wool and long faces, and the men sit on top of them. They run faster than a deer. The image is even more bizarre than the floating mountains. Women riding an animal. Llamas were beasts of burden, not transport. The idea of a man merging with a beast to move at great speed is the stuff of nightmares and legends, not reality. Some in your group speculate that the fishermen must have seen a new kind of monster emerging from the sea. This is the first time you have heard these rumors. Whispers of the Spanish, led by Francisco Pizarro, who have landed on the northern coast. From your perspective, it's all but impossible to form an accurate picture. There are no words in your language for a galleon, a helmet, a beard, or a warhorse. So your mind, and the minds of everyone in the Empire, must translate these impossible things into familiar concepts. Floating mountains, metal pots for hats, woolly faces, and giant deer llamas. Historians poring over the accounts written decades later will forever argue about this. Atahualpa, sitting in his court at Cajamarca, had the most sophisticated information network in the world at his disposal. These rumors, these strange but consistent reports from the coast, certainly reached him via his Chasquis. What did he make of them? Did he dismiss them as the ramblings of provincial peasants? Did he believe them to be the heralds of a returning god, as some accounts suggest? Or did he, a hardened and pragmatic general, simply underestimate the threat, viewing 100 or so strangely dressed men as a bizarre but ultimately trivial curiosity, no match for his tens of thousands of elite soldiers? The debate will never be settled. You finish your meal and prepare for your next assignment. A small, exquisitely woven textile, destined for the Sapa Inca's personal collection. As you begin to run, the rumors run with you. They are a burr under the saddle of your mind, a discordant note in the symphony of the recovering empire. You try to push them away to focus on the familiar rhythm of your feet on the stone path. But the images are sticky. Floating mountains, men with wool for faces, creatures that are half man, half beast. It is all nonsense, you tell yourself. The empire is strong. The Sapa Inca is the son of the sun. The world is as it should be. But for the first time in a long time, as you run through the vast, silent, and solid mountains, you feel a flicker of a new and unfamiliar kind of fear, the fear of the unknown. The strange rumors from the coast become more frequent, more detailed, and more unsettling. They travel along the Capac Ñan like a fever, whispered at every handoff, debated in every tambo. The floating mountains have landed. The men with woolly faces are moving inland. They have sticks that spit fire and thunder. They do not walk. They ride their giant deer llamas, moving with unnatural speed. Atahualpa, you hear, is aware of them. He is allowing them to approach his court at Cajamarca, a gesture of supreme confidence, like a puma allowing a strange, noisy bird to hop closer before swatting it from the sky. Your life as a Chasqui continues, but the context has shifted. The messages you carry are still about restoring order, but now there's a new, strange variable in the equation. You carry a quipu detailing the grain stores in a northern valley, and you wonder if it's for Inca soldiers or if these strange visitors will demand it as tribute. You relay a verbal message about moving a garrison, and you wonder if they are being positioned to watch these newcomers. The entire nervous system of the empire is twitching with a strange new stimulus. Then one day, the unthinkable happens. A message arrives. It does not come on a quipu, which would be too slow to create. It is not a carefully memorized verbal command. It is a scream of chaos, passed from runner to runner, a wave of pure panic traveling down the road. Cajamarca. The Sapa Inca is taken. The thunder sticks have killed thousands. Atahualpa is a prisoner. The message is so shocking, so fundamentally world-shattering, that it feels like a lie. How could a handful of woolly-faced men capture the son of the sun, the divine ruler of millions, surrounded by his victorious army? It makes no logical sense. It is as if a handful of mice had captured a condor. The story that accompanies the raw fact is even more insane. Atahualpa met them in the great plaza of Cajamarca. He was carried on his golden litter, surrounded by thousands of his lightly armed retainers. The strangers, only 168 of them, used their thundersticks and shining metal sticks to slaughter the unarmed nobles, and in the midst of the chaos, they dragged the Sapa Inca from his litter. This event, the ambush at Cajamarca, is a pivotal, almost unbelievable moment in world history. Historians will analyze it for centuries, debating every detail. How did Bizarro West Ini force manage such a feat? Was it the technological advantage of steel armor, guns, and horses? Was it the psychological shock of an attack so audacious and treacherous that no Inca could have conceived of it? Or was it the lingering trauma of the Civil War, which had left the Inca elite disorganized and unprepared for an outside context problem? The answer, as is often the case, is likely a complex mix of all these factors. For you, the runner, the historical analysis is irrelevant. The only reality is the terror of the message. The center of your universe has been kidnapped by monsters. The Empire, just beginning to heal from a civil war, has been decapitated. The system you have dedicated your life to is now in the service of an incomprehensible disaster. The days that follow are a blur of confusion. The Chasqui network continues to function, but its purpose is twisted. You are now carrying messages from the captive Sepa Inca. Atahualpa, in a desperate bid for freedom, has promised his captors a ransom. He has promised to fill a large room once with gold and twice with silver. The command goes out through the Chasqui network to every corner of the empire. Strip the temples, empty the palaces, send every precious object to Cajamarca to save the life of the Sepa Inca. You find yourself carrying not just commands, but the physical ransom itself. Small, heavy bags of gold figurines and silver ornaments are entrusted to you. The irony is crushing. The symbols of imperial power and divine right are now being rushed along the Capac Ñan to be melted down into crude bars to satisfy the greed of a few hundred terrifying strangers. You run through valleys where people are wailing, tearing their clothes in mourning for their captured god. You see priests overseeing the stripping of sun discs from temple walls, tears streaming down their faces. The entire empire is being mobilized for a single, desperate purpose. You are no longer just a messenger. You are a courier in a cosmic shakedown. The speed and efficiency of the Chasqui system, once a tool for conquest and administration, has been turned against itself. It is now the most efficient ransom collection service in history. You run harder than you ever have before, fueled by a mixture of fear, duty, and a sliver of desperate hope. If you can just get this gold to Cajamarca fast enough, maybe the world can be put right. Maybe the sun will not be extinguished. Maybe the floating mountains and their woolly-faced demons will take their treasure and go away, leaving you to piece your shattered world back together. The ransom is collected. A river of gold and silver flows along the Capac Ñan, carried by you and hundreds of your fellow Chasquis, and delivered to the feet of the bearded strangers in Cajamarca. The great room is filled, just as Atahualpa promised. The empire holds its breath, waiting for the Sepa Inca to be freed, for the world to snap back into its proper alignment. The message that comes next is the final, fatal blow. It is the death of hope. Atahualpa has been executed. The strangers, having received the largest ransom in the history of the world, did not honor their promise. They held Moctroil and Garrett, the son of the sun, in the plaza of Cajamarca. The news travels down the road like a shockwave of ice. When you hear it, standing in your lonely tambo, the world seems to tilt on its axis. The Civil War was a wound. The capture was a decapitation. This is the annihilation of the soul. Your God is dead. The organizing principle of your entire reality has been extinguished by a handful of greedy, treacherous men. The empire does not collapse overnight. It shatters. Without a divine center of command, the Tawantinsuyu breaks apart into its constituent pieces. The great generals in the north try to organize resistance. A new Papatinca is crowned by the Spanish in Cusco to give a veneer of legitimacy to their rule. But the unified will is gone. The great, centrally controlled organism is now just a collection of twitching, severed limbs. And what becomes of you? The nervous system. You keep running. For a time you are more important than ever. The Spanish, these new masters, are few in number. They are completely ignorant of the land, the languages, and the people. They have stumbled upon the most sophisticated information network on the planet, and they realize its value immediately. They have no choice but to use you. The experience is surreal and degrading. You are now summoned not by a noble Inca official, but by a rough, loud Spaniard who smells of sweat and strange food. He does not hand you a quipu. He shoves a piece of paper with incomprehensible black scribbles on it into a leather pouch. He barks orders in a language you don't understand, relying on a translator, often a rival tribesman who has thrown his lot in with the invaders to convey the message. The messages are no longer about tribute and ceremony. They are about troop movements to crush pockets of resistance, demands for food for their garrisons, and intelligence on the location of Inca nobles who have gone into hiding. You are now forced to be an agent of your own people's subjugation. You run along the same sacred roads, But now you are helping the invaders hunt down the very generals and priests you once served. The irony is a poison that seeps into your bones with every kilometer. The Capac Ñan, the pride of the empire, is now the instrument of its conquest. The Spanish can move their small forces with incredible speed and efficiency, responding to threats and coordinating their attacks thanks to the very system they are in the process of destroying. This is a strange and tragic detail of the conquest that is often overlooked. The Spanish didn't have to build an infrastructure of control, they inherited one. For a brief, chaotic period, the Chasqui and the Spanish existed in a state of mutual, mistrustful dependence. The Spanish needed your legs and your knowledge of the road. You needed their patronage to survive in the new, violent world they were creating. But you can see the end coming. The Spanish are bringing their own animals, their giant deer llamas, the ones they call horses. A man on a horse can cover far more ground in a day than you can on foot. He can carry his own supplies, his own weapons. He doesn't need a relay system of stations every 20 kilometers. He is a self-contained unit of communication. Your specialized, demanding, and lifelong profession is becoming obsolete. The tambos are falling into disrepair. The food supplies are no longer reliable. The sense of shared purpose among the runners is gone, replaced by fear and suspicion. Who among you is a true patriot, secretly passing information to the resistance? Who is a collaborator, currying favor with the new masters? The silent companionship of the road is dead. You run in a world of ghosts, the ghost of a dead god, the ghost of a fallen empire, and the ghost of your own obsolete future. You are on the road. It's a familiar route, the one you have run 1,000 times. But the road is dying. Grass and hardy weeds sprout defiantly in the cracks between the great paving stones. A section of the low retaining wall has collapsed, spilling rubble across the path. No one has come to fix it. The gardeners are gone. You are running on a corpse. The message you carry is a piece of paper in a leather pouch. A demand from a minor Spanish official for a tribute of chickens from a village that you know has no chickens left to give. It is a message of petty tyranny, meaningless and cruel. As you crest a high pass, you hear a new sound, not the cry of a puchutiu or the whisper of the wind, but the rhythmic clatter of metal on stone. A Spaniard on a horse gallops past you. He doesn't look at you. To him, you are just a native, a piece of the landscape, slower and less significant than his beast. The horse kicks up dust and pebbles that sting your shins. In that moment, the finality of it all settles in your heart. You are a relic. Your incredible stamina, your perfect memory, your sacred duty, it has all been rendered obsolete by this clumsy, powerful alliance of flesh and beast. The future has galloped past you without a second glance. You continue your trot, a creature of habit. You reach the designated handover point, the next tambo in the chain. But the chain is broken. The hut is empty. The thatched roof has partially caved in, and the wind whistles through the gaps in the stone walls. There is no partner waiting for you, only silence and decay. Your run is over. You are carrying a message with no recipient on a road that is returning to the wild. You are the last nerve impulse firing into a dead brain. You stand there for a long time as the sun begins to dip behind the colossal peaks, painting the sky in colors of blood and fire. You pull the leather pouch from your belt and take out the Spanish paper. The black scribbles mean nothing to you. It is the language of the new gods, the ones who killed the sun. You let the wind snatch it from your fingers, and it flutters away like a wounded moth before disappearing into the gorge below. Slowly, deliberately, you reach up and untuck the white feathered tuft from your headband. It has been your mark of office, your passport, your identity. You hold it in your palm for a moment, the feathers soft against your calloused skin. Then you open your hand, and the wind takes that too. You watch it dance in the air, a tiny white ghost against the darkening sky, until it is gone. You are no longer a Chasqui. The word has lost its meaning. What are you now? You turn your back on the empty tambo and the dying road. You step off the paving stones and onto the rough, tussock grass of the mountainside. You do not know where you are going. You cannot go back to your old village it was loyal to Huascar and likely no longer exists. You cannot go forward. The road has no future, so you just walk, away from the path, away from the life you knew. You are just a man now, a survivor, your story dissolving into the vast, indifferent silence of the Andes. Historians will debate for centuries how long the system truly survived. Did small, isolated communities continue to use runners on local paths long after the Spanish declared the system defunct? When did the very last official Chasqui complete his final, unrecorded run? The answer is lost, scattered like the feathers from your headband. Your story, and the story of the thousands of runners like you, becomes a legend. They whisper of flying feet on mountain trails, a myth of an empire held together by breath and sinew. Then echo, faint and mournful, like the cry of a put-you-to-you, carried forever on the high, lonely winds. And now the road fades. The sound of running feet grows softer, more distant until it is just the gentle, rhythmic beat of your own heart. The great snow-capped mountains dissolve into the soft, cool peaks of your pillows. The thin, crisp air of the Andes is just the whisper of a fan or the quiet stillness of your room. Your journey is over for tonight. The messages have all been delivered. The knots have all been tied, and the great empire of your day has settled into the soft, quiet lands of slumber. Let the echoes of the story be a gentle lullaby. The steady trot of the runner is now just the steady rhythm of your own breathing as you drift deeper and deeper into rest. The story is finished. The world is quiet, and you are safe in the final temple of sleep, a place of perfect peace waiting for the new day to dawn. Let the silence be your blanket, and the darkness be your friend. The end of the article. Good night.